Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Everybody,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama,
Hare Rama. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, सब लोग कृष्णा कृष्णा, हरे गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय जय, गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय जय, राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय,
Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jai
सब लोग
Jai,
राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय,
Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jai Jai,
हे गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय जय,
Govinda Jai Jai Gopal Jai Jai,
हे गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय जय,
Govinda Jai Jai Gopal Jai Jai,
राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय,
Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jai Jai,
राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय,
Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jai Jai,
गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय जय,
Govinda Jai Jai Gopal Jai Jai,
गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय जय,
Govinda Jai Jai Gopal Jai Jai,
गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय जय,
Govinda Jai Jai Gopal Jai Jai,
गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय जय,
Govinda Jai Jai Gopal Jai Jai,
राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय,
Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jai Jai,
राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय,
Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jai Jai,
गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय जय,
Govinda Jai Jai Gopal Jai Jai,
गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय जय, राधा रमण हरि गोविंद 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 जय जय, गोविंद जय जय गोपाल 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 जय जय, गोविंद जय जय Hare
Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya
Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya
Radha Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya
Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopal Jaya Jaya
Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopal Jaya Jaya
Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya
Radha Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Krishna
Hare 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 Ram Hare Ram 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 Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna
Bolo, 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 bolo.
Hare Ram 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 Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare
Hare Ram
Hare Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare
Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopal Jaya Jaya
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 Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya
Radha Ramana Hari
Boliye Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya
Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya
Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Nitai Gaur Hari Bol
Hari Bol
युग धर्म हरि नाम संकीर्तन की
Jai
मजा आ गया आज तो It's fun today. So nice to see all of you chanting and clapping and I'll tell you something honestly. I saw something probably Mata you would have also seen from this angle. Everybody had a smile. You tried not to smile, but you still smiled. I'm just joking. What's your name by the way?
Kailash.
Kailash. Very nice. What's your name?
Ankita.
Ankita. Welcome.
They were my reporters from Boston when you were doing it, the Harinam over there.
Ah, I see. So you were the one who were the spy. You know what happened was I was doing this Harinam program on the street, and Ashish sends me a text message on WhatsApp with my pictures of the Harinam, with a video as well. I'm like, how? I was asking him who sent you. Then he started saying there was one person who sent it to me and he clicked this picture. I have already spoken to him about you and he saw you on the street and he clicked the picture and he recorded this video. Like, I have to be careful. So you're the one.
Yeah.
You never know who's taking your picture nowadays.
Yeah. Well, happy to see you all. Thank you so much for joining us. Any more people who are new? I think we met last time, right? What's your name? Karthik. So before we get started, we're gonna have 5 minutes of icebreaker session. Now it's getting really hot, so we have to break all the ice. So the icebreaker session would mean that we have to pick up points that we remember from last time's class, whatever we remember. And do you have the slides for it?
Yes, right. Yes.
No, not for this one, the previous one.
This one, yeah.
Achha, rehne do. I'll just test their whatever they remember. If you show them the slides, you know, everybody can see it. Let's have people volunteer. Those who didn't come last time, it's okay, but those who really made it, we would like if you could volunteer. And if you don't volunteer, I'm going to pick you. So either way, you decide. See, that's the way. That's the way you get the snake out of
at least something that you remember.
That's the way you
What
get
if
the
somebody
snake out
else
of the
picks
hole. Yes, you were the one who first raised it.
What I remember is, Prabhu, we spoke about about the illusion in this world. Like whatever we see with our eyes, that is not generally true. It may or may not be true. Like there may be different perceptions of it. So this world is temporary and everything is illusion.
Okay, can you better that?
So, yeah, so just extending the same point.
No, don't worry, I'm not getting you all into a fight so that you settle after the class, you know. No, something that you can share.
Yeah, so
Is it true
basically-
that was the theme that everything is illusion? Or?
Yeah, so maybe the main idea that you were trying to convey was through even basic things like even by seeing a particular object, we are not sure of what we are seeing is exactly, is that object what we are really seeing, or it might be something else.
Okay.
So the point we were deducing was that our senses are prone to mistakes.
Okay.
So they are deceiving. They can deceive us. We cannot trust them always.
Right. So the senses can give you knowledge, but they cannot be all in all the perfect knowledge that we can decipher. Yes. Any more points?
Every person has their own perception to look at the things,
Right.
like positive, negative,
Right.
at the same situation.
Right.
So,
Right. So everybody remembers the optical illusions?
Yeah.
How many legs did the elephant have? Nobody has a count. Okay, 5.
Six.
Okay, let's not get into that. The elephant in this world has 4 legs. Yes. What are the other points? Somebody else remembers?
Gita was spoken for 48 minutes.
Okay. Gita, the whole of Bhagavad Gita was spoken in 48 minutes. Okay. What else?
And there were various dialogue conversations between Krishna and Arjun. And because they were friends and Arjun was already a devotee of Krishna, so they had some kind of wavelength, because of which some conversations really took place between the two of them, as you said, at a psychic level, at a mental platform.
Yes.
Like Arjun was, even before Arjun could have asked a question, Krishna understood what is his perspective and
Okay.
he already answered it.
So what was the thing that Arjuna kept in his mind because of which he couldn't fight?
Relatives.
Relatives. So what was his mindset?
If we kill the persons who are in the battlefield, the women will be not secure.
Yeah, women. Okay, women will not be secured, and Jayate Varna Shankara. It could lead to unwanted progeny. Yes. What else? What else will happen? Okay, that was for people who had wives. How about people like Bhishma?
his guru. So,
Grandfather.
Grandfather,
Okay.
relatives.
So what's the problem in killing them? They don't have wives. That's not going to create
Those
any
are the
Varna
senior people. So if we are killing those senior people, then there will be no one who will guide us.
IIT, huh?
knowledge transfer.
Yes, perfect. So if the senior citizens in the family are destroyed, Arjuna's point of view was, if they are destroyed, there will be nobody to teach us what the family traditions are. Nobody will perform Shraddha, and the ancestors will fall down because there will be nobody to perform Shraddha. What else? How many of you all tried to flip through the Bhagavad Gita that was given? At least try it. Chalo. Honestly. I'm going to ask this every week. So the hands which are down today have to be up next week. Yes? And those who are always keeping down, I'm going to see. Is that? So, so nobody? You didn't get time? No problem. But at least from next week, just try flipping, because we covered a lot of chapter 1 last time. So if you actually read through chapter 1, you will have all of this. All that we are discussing now is around 25 verses in the first chapter. Arjuna gives different reasons. Today what we are going to cover is a major chunk of the second chapter. We spoke about 5 subject matters that the Bhagavad Gita talks about. What were they?
Karma,
Karma. Acha.
moksha.
No. Jiva. Yes, or soul. So the Bhagavad Gita basically talks about 5 things. 5, why we have to learn Bhagavad Gita? Because we want to know 5 things that the Bhagavad Gita talks about. So you said karma. Why bad things happen to good people? I'm so good. Why bad things happen to you? Saddam Hussein, so bad. Why good things happen to you? So that's karma. What's the second thing? Jiva, or soul. Who are we? What is our identity? Where we come from, etc. What is the third thing?
Kala.
Kala, or eternal time. How does time factor work? What else? 2 more. Things around us. What is it called? Prakriti, or nature. And the 5th is the personality himself, Ishwar, God. So these are the 5 subject matters. So of which today we are going to touch the first subject matter, which is Jiva Tattva. So today we are going to talk about Jiva Tattva, or spirit soul. Yes? So before we get started, what are your ideas on Jiva, or soul? What comes into your mind when you think soul? Light, okay. Life, okay. I'll take both, light and life. Purity, okay. What else? Just shoot. Because it's the pre-session.
It's
Never?
never ending.
Never ending. That's more accurate than all the other properties. Very good. What else? We all are going to remember you and congratulate you when that slide comes up.
Invisible.
Invisible, okay. Congratulations for you as well. What else?
Identity.
No identity?
Identity.
Identity, fundamental identity.
Fundamental.
Okay. Our identity. Yes. What else? In fact, your point is the best till now. This whole class is meant only to prove that the soul is our identity. So you are like, this is your first class, right?
Yeah.
Congrats. What else? Soul. क्या आता है दिमाग में? What comes into your mind?
It is part and parcel of Paramatma, Super Soul.
Part and parcel of Paramatma, or God. Okay. What else? Any more answers? Just feel free, shoot. Don't become Arjuna, gun device slipping from my hand, I'm not able to shoot. Shoot. Shoot all the arrows. What else? Okay. So today we are going to talk about what our true identity is, as you said, and as you have already spilled the beans. We are going to see through different means about the soul concept. It's a very broad concept, and it has many slides and a lot of different perspectives to the same understanding. But since the time is short, I might flip through many slides really quick. But if at any point there's anything that you want a clarification on, just feel free. Yes? So, alright. So, we started off with this point last time, that human life means inquisitiveness. Kya, kyun, kaise, kab, kahan. We're supposed to be inquisitive, yes? What happened, to whom, where, how. And as we said last time, all our inquiries, as far as science is concerned, boil down to 2 things. As far as physics goes, it's the origin of the universe. What is the purpose of this whole universe? Why is it created? Why is it maintained? Why is it destroyed? People oftentimes ask this question. Brahma creates, Shiva destroys. Jhagda hai kya? If they decide, then why create and why destroy? Only Vishnu can maintain, right? Don't do anything. This guy creates, this guy destroys. Why? What's the purpose? And the other thing, the nature of life. Who are we? What is life? How is life so priceless? Where does it come from? Where does it go? With life, birth, death. You know, old age, the body ages, and as you said, the soul doesn't age, the soul is unending. How come? What is all this? So as far as all the scriptures are concerned, they talk about this concept of soul. In modern age, there are some which are twisted and turned, which don't accept. But fundamentally, if you see all the scriptures, talk about Islam, talk about Christianity, you talk about the Vedas, you talk about any religious path, they talk about the spirit soul. This is such a topic where all the spiritualists, originally they were together. Everybody agrees, because all the scriptures talk the same thing. But with passing time, because man became more greedy, wanted to taste flesh. So now if you believe that animals have soul, then killing animals which have soul becomes sin. And therefore, because that is sinful, you can't kill them. So let's agree that animals have no soul. No soul, no karma, no sin. On our plate. Many religions like that. I generally, when I speak, I have people from Christianity, I have people from Islam, I have people from the Buddhist idea or faith. So therefore, I don't speak very openly, and nor would I do it here. But offline, we could discuss what I'm referring to and where. But now I'll just stick to the discussion as far as the Vedic sciences. So as far as even science is concerned, it talks about biochemistry, it talks about cellular biology, it talks about different ways the body mechanisms function. It talks about how the body has different contents, phosphorus, iron, calcium, etc. etc. It talks about kitne proportion mein hai the body has, itna proportion ye hai, X amount of this, Y amount of this. Like for example, if you look into this, it will be something like this. Calcium, so much content, iron, so much content, phosphorus, so much content. You have a lot of content of water. How much content is that? 70. And other substances as well. So, don't take the rupees. I have to make it into dollar. I was doing this in India, so it says rupees. But you can convert it into, even if you take that as $210, but it still proves my point. If you add up all the content that your body has, and if you see the market value for that, like for example, if the calcium has, if there is like, for example, 100 grams, for example, it's X. 100 grams of X component, 100 grams of Y component, 100 grams of Z component. And if you see the market value of all of them, and I add all of them. So for example, suppose it comes to $210. Can we believe that we are worth only $210? Yes? Why?
Making more money than that at least.
Alright.
At least
That doesn't include soul.
Okay.
I was going to say kidney.
Organ donor.
These days our kidney is worth more than us. Huh?
Yeah.
Does that go on even here in the US? Does that go on even here? Anybody into the medical field? Does that go on even here?
Yeah, the value of kidney, yes.
The kidney trade.
It's not legal, but some people do it.
Yeah, India is more compassionate. Mera Bharat Mahan. So yeah, seeing all the sad politics and the sad hypocrisy that goes on in medical field, our kidney is worth more than us. So anyway, coming to the point, adding up all the market value of all the contents, would we really believe that we are worth, okay, I'll put one more zero, okay, so that everybody is satisfied. Are we worth only $2,100? We say life is priceless, right? Priceless, anmol, amulya, these words. What's the thing that's adding that priceless thing? Priceless value. It's the spirit, right? So that's whatever I was saying is this slide. If we are just made out of chemicals, are we worth so much? That's it. I remember my Siksha Guru, His Holiness Bhakti Swarup Damodar Maharaj. He did his PhD in physical organic chemistry from University of Irvine, California. And exalted disciple of Srila Prabhupada. So Srila Prabhupada used to say this point, that life doesn't come from matter. Life comes from life. And life is priceless because of the presence of the spirit soul. It's not just dead matter. So Bhakti Swarup Damodar Maharaj used to hear all this, and he had this on the back of his mind. A very nice, great scientist by the name Stanley Miller. How many of you have heard of him? Very famous, Stanley Miller. So Stanley Miller was in a conference and he was speaking. And he was making this point of life coming from matter. And Bhakti Swarup Damodar Maharaj was sitting on the front row. And his name was Dr. T.D. Singh. PhD, nicely into his research, just sitting there. So at the end, Stanley Miller said, any questions or comments? He put up his hand. He said, I have a question. He said, yes, shoot, what's your question? Stanley Miller was really puffed up, Hey, this young, thin Indian, what is he going to do? What's your question? So, Bhakti Swarup Damodar Maharaj said, you spoke about all the components that you need to create life. If I give you all those components, can you create life in front of me? Proper question. He said, life is made of all these elements and X amount of this, Y amount of this, and then we can do it. Bhakti Swarup Damodar Maharaj said, I give you all of that. I know exactly what you're talking about. I have done research in the same field that you're doing. Physical organic chemistry. I can speak about all of that. I'll give you everything from the laboratory. Come over to the lab. Take your time. 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. Can you do it? Stanley Miller said, well, that's a challenge. And I'm ready to accept it, but I'm not sure whether I'll be able to. Bhakti Swarup Damodar Maharaj said, I know you won't be able to. Everybody laughed. He said, you cannot. It's like signing a post-dated check. Hoga shayad. Kabhi hoga, kaise hoga, whether it will happen or not. The scientists these days say, if you tell them Stanley Miller said, at least I can try. Scientists these days say, we cannot. Bhakti Swarup Damodar Maharaj was in charge of the Bhakti Vedanta Institute. Prabhupada started this wing for scientific preaching, where you speak the Vedas in a scientific language, so that the academic scientists understand that what they are actually speaking and coming to is already given in our Vedas long time ago. So he used to speak to Michael Behe, who's a big, biologist, to Roger Penrose, who's a Rose Bowl professor at Oxford, and he used to talk to them in equal tones. No Srimad Bhagavatam, no Bhagavad Gita. You speak what you've done research on, and then we'll get Krishna or God through your research. So he was talking to Michael Behe, and Michael Behe said, this is impossible. Creating life out of chemicals, impossible. He came to the point of saying life cannot be made out of matter because life comes from life. And what this life invoking factor is, that's the spirit soul that we are talking about. We are saying we are alive. Where does that life come from? That's exactly what we are discussing. Is it just a mechanism of the bodily parts? Well, science, now let's get to what science says. How many of you all have heard of this near-death experience? Who else? 4 people. I want 5. I want each one of you all to say something. Starting with you. What are your ideas? What do you think? I mean, you'll be more authoritative, but still go.
Heard about it, it's like experience when you are feeling something very, very unusual, very different happening with you. Feel like something very wrong going and things like that.
Okay. Yes.
I had actually watched one of the movie on it was on probably Netflix or YouTube.
Okay.
And that movie actually had a collection of all these people who had near-death experiences. So, and one amazing thing in one of that person was that person, she was actually a patient, and many of these near-death experiences are very well explained by either the neuroscientists or the surgeons, the heart surgeons or the neurosurgeons, because when they operate, the person is actually close to death.
Yes.
Person is like totally unconscious.
Yes.
That person can never know what's going on with the body.
Many are clinically dead.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that person
Brain death.
really admitted that I was experiencing, like I was seeing from outside what was going on my body, and you were treating this hand of mine, and you had done something wrong with my hand, and you were experiencing it.
I'm exactly coming to what you're saying. Yes, go ahead. I flipped the side as soon as you said
So
it.
the surgeon went crazy. He said that that's not possible, but he had to agree to that lady's point because, or that patient's point, because that patient was explaining exactly what was going on with the body. So the doctor was like, I had made you completely unconscious. That's what it is. Wow.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So
Keep speaking. As you're speaking, you're doing the talking for me. I'll move in the slides. Keep going.
So the doctor was like, how can you tell me what was going on with your body when I know that clinically I'm observing you on all the equipments and your body is not responding at all? How can I really believe that you could really feel what was going on with your body? She said that I was seeing my body from outside. So I felt like I'm actually dead. I'm not in the body, I'm outside the body, and I can see what's going on with the body.
That's this slide. So you actually covered 4 slides for me. That's good. So if everybody contributes like that, it'll help me. So anyway, so that was wonderful. Yes, Mataji, you want to add something?
Well, I've read that the medical community just says that someone that has a near-death experience, it's just chemical reactions in the brain, and it's like a hallucination.
Yes. And anybody else? Something, since you touched out-of-body experience also, the OBE. Anybody else who wants to add? Somebody has heard of OBE, the out-of-body experience. That's exactly what he was talking about, where the person gets out of his body and he observes the body. Out-of-body experience. Yes.
Yeah, I heard my patient's story. So she was telling when she had an accident, that time she was conscious and she was seeing some people are coming near her. But when she got unconscious, that time she was feeling pain and she was telling people, please help me. But
Right.
no one was hearing her, and she was like, she was feeling pain but she was not in body.
Right. So you had to add what he said? Or he said everything, huh? उनका भी थोड़ा point ले रख लेते हैं. Okay. So these two concepts of near-death experience and out-of-body experience are so brilliant that even in this present medical technology that we have, things are inexplicable. How this happens? Really big neurologists. You're not talking about people like sitting in 4 walls and discussing. Talking about people at big places. They have no idea. Now, as far as near-death experience is concerned, most scientists who don't believe in the presence of the spirit soul, they push it off saying it's hallucination. But there are really good scientists who are working on it, and there are a lot of papers coming up. As far as out-of-body experience is concerned, it's even more evident, and scientists do agree that this is something that we are not able to understand. That's exactly what he was talking about. She was talking about. The experiences where a person observes himself and in a way that it's impossible. Like for example, let's take this example. You're talking about a certain brain surgery, you're talking about a certain institute, a certain doctor, and a certain patient. I'm not sure whether this refers to the same example that you were saying, but it's on same lines. Different patient, different institute probably. So this was a case where if you actually see the OT or the operation theatre, you will have all the things kept inside which are very difficult to even explain for somebody who is non-medical. I mean, for a patient who just gets in, it's impossible. Kya kidhar rakha hai, how will he remember? But here is an example of Pam Reynolds, is that name? Yeah. So this patient explains of how actually he or she was under surgery, And then this patient explains after the surgery of all the things that he or she saw. This was there, that was kept like this. It's not possible because that person wasn't conscious. So the doctors don't understand. There are so many cases like this. If you see even in our as far as records are concerned, of course this dates only up to 2001. But if you go up to 2015, the present, it's innumerable. So many such cases. Before, people used to think this person's gone crazy, that's why he's speaking like this. But if you see, there's big large chunk of people saying this. Not just the near death, even the out of body experience. This is, something similar again to what you said. Somebody who's blind since birth, 37-year-old lady, and she explains seeing herself from the ceiling. The person has never seen this world. How can you see something when you're blind, in this case, and in the case when you're under surgery, when your eyes are closed? How can you see? The Vedic science describes the eyes are like windows. Does the window see? Does the window see? Or do we see through the window? Similarly, the Vedic science describes it's the spirit soul who sees through the windows of the eyes. It's the spirit soul who hears through the window of the ears. We think कान सुनता है, कान से हम सुन रहे हैं. The spirit soul hears through the ear. The spirit soul sees through the eyes, which means spirit soul meaning I, you, individual. And you say I am seeing. You don't see the eyes are seeing. I am here. I. Who is that I? It's the spirit. The spirit soul sees through all these sense objects. So even in these cases, the spirit soul leaves the body. Now the window of the eye isn't there, but the spirit soul can still see. It's observing the body. And there are innumerable cases. This is another epic story. How many of you all have seen this picture before? Mataji wouldn't have seen it because it's a 1995 Times of India edition. Really old. I was 3 years old. I mean, I haven't read this newspaper, but I have got it through Netflix. This is the story of a lady. You can see there, right? This is an example of something called as past life memory. How many of y'all know something about past life memory? Don't get scared, huh? This is not a booth session. It's not a horror show or something. I'm just giving you different scientific examples. And if you're scared, then, Anyway, so what do you mean by past life memory? As the word explains. Have you all heard of it? Past life memory? What have you heard about?
Karan Arjun.
The jokes apart, yes.